Hello, and welcome back to this three-part series. This is part 3 of the Arteza versus Posca pen videos, and this will be the final part to this series. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 2 yet, I highly recommend that you go watch those first. I will link those videos in the description. It's gonna make a little more sense of what I'm talking about, and it's more of a visual example of how these pens perform. So I highly recommend that you go watch those first, but in this video, I'm just going to address some of the more popular questions that was asked that doesn't really need a visual explanation. So I'm just gonna do this voiceover with a lovely speed paint. In this speed paint, I used both markers together to kind of just show you how well they work in unison. You can absolutely use both of these markers together. One doesn't do damage to the other. They work well together. They're both paint markers at the end of the day. Really, in the end, the only difference is that Posca pens are a little bit smoother, a little bit more opaque, just a little bit easier to use. But in general, they're both very good markers, and I highly suggest both of them. Let's get into some of the questions. One of the most popular questions I got asked was, is it important to use a specific paper? And yes, 100%. If you use something like printer paper or just really thin, cheap drawing paper or anything like that, you're not gonna have a good time. These are acrylic paint markers. Acrylic paint can, rip up paper if the paper isn't suitable to hold that paint. So in the videos, I used Canson watercolor paper. I just used the really basic, straight from the sketchbook from Michael's Canson watercolor paper. In my experience, it worked really well for both markers. Both markers absorbed into the paper enough to where there was no tearing when I used the markers, but it also didn't bleed everywhere when it was absorbed into the paper. So that paper works really well. I also suggest just using a mixed media paper. Mixed media is meant to hold different medias such as acrylic and watercolor. So that paper, as long as it's not an extremely cheap pad of paper, it should work just fine. Another popular question that I got asked was, do you need a protective coating after using either of these markers? For both of these markers, I would say you don't need a protective coating, but it's not a bad idea to use one, especially if you're going to be displaying this artwork that you've created. If you're selling it or gifting it or just want it to last a little bit, I would highly suggest using some sort of fixative spray, some sort of varnish. Even like a light coat of Mod Podge would probably be fine. Definitely don't need to use it, but it's also not a bad idea to use it either. Just make sure that the paint is completely dry before you apply this so you don't get any smearing, and you should be just fine after that. Another really popular question was, how long does it take for them to dry? Quickly. It takes less than a minute for this paint to dry. So if you're going to be blending colors directly on the paper, you need to work quickly. Like I said, the paint dries really fast, which is great for, getting your piece done a little bit quicker, but it also kind of sucks if you're trying to blend or do anything to that effect. So you do definitely need to work quickly with both of these markers. You need to be precise in your decisions. You need to have an idea of what you're doing before you lay this down. It would be my suggestion, just because they dry so fast and they're a little bit difficult to layer. For example, like if you are just painting with a regular acrylic paint, if you mess something up or if you don't like something, you wait for it to dry, you paint over it, right? With these markers, they tend to tear up the layer underneath. So if you make a mistake and you try to go over it with these markers, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. You need to be very gentle and very careful, and those are synonyms. You just need to be very careful about what you're doing. Otherwise, it's going to rip up the work underneath, and then you are going to just lose your piece entirely. So can you layer these? Yes, but you need to be gentle about it, okay? Another popular question was, are they waterproof after they dry? I dropped a little bit of water on a couple swatches from both pens, and both of them did fine after they were dry. When they're wet, they are probably not waterproof because it's acrylic paint. Acrylic paint is not waterproof, so I definitely recommend trying to keep water away from it. You can absolutely use water while you're using these markers if you're trying to dilute the colors. 100% you can do that, but definitely try to keep it away from water if that's not what you're trying to do. After they dry, it should be fine as long as it's not like a ton of water. You know, a little drop here and there shouldn't do anything too damaging, but still try to keep it away from water if you can. Somebody asked if you could use these markers on leather. I did not personally try using these markers on leather, but I'm gonna go ahead and say no, just because they make a specific paint for painting on leather. It's literally leather paint. So I would go ahead and say no, that the acrylic is not gonna work. I imagine that it would crack and chip off if it even sticks. I don't think it's gonna work. So I wouldn't try these on leather. You can go ahead and try if you really want to, but I don't personally think that they will work on leather. They did work on other surfaces, like in the previous video. They worked on a lot of other things like canvas shoes and glass and stuff like that. But as far as like leather or like cotton t-shirts, I don't know that that would really be the way to go. I would definitely suggest using either leather paint or fabric paint for stuff like that. A lot of people ask the availability of these markers. How do I get them? Where can I get them? And prices of these markers. So you can find some Posca pens in store, but they are a lot easier to get if you order them online. You can find them in places like Michael's or Hobby Lobby, or even if you have a Blick near you, they should have some. Really, any art store that's like dedicated to art should carry these markers. But sometimes they don't, and so I think it's just honestly easier to order them online. You can order them through Amazon, or you can order them through Blick's website. I'll link both of those in the description to where you can get some. As for the Arteza pens, markers, whatever, those are only available online as far as I know. I have never seen Arteza in store. I've only ever seen Arteza on their own website or on Amazon. So I got my particular set from Amazon, and I wrote prices down for different packs of both of these markers. They might be outdated. I know the prices fluctuate quite a bit with these specific brands, so I'm just going off what I have most recently, and most recently being within the last month. These were the prices that I saw. The Arteza 20 count set came out to $32.99 in US dollars, which comes out to about $1.64 per marker, which really isn't that bad, considering, like, especially if you compare them to Copic markers, which I know are alcohol markers, totally different thing, but like Copic markers are like $5 to $8 a marker, so like $1.64 for a paint marker, not bad, right? If you get the 40 count, which is what I have, you're looking at $46.99 American, which comes out to $1.17 per marker, so it's a little bit cheaper if you get the bigger set as far as the individual marker price. But if you only really need 20 markers, $33, it's a little high for some markers, but they are quality markers, so I think you really do get what you pay for when you buy these Arteza markers. Posca pens, for the basic set, so okay, let me preface this. Posca pens have become increasingly difficult to find through even the internet. Like, ordering them online has become fairly difficult. A lot of places run out of them. You can't really find packs that you want, at least in my experience. Like, while I was doing research for this, I was not finding a whole lot of results. So I just kind of went off the basic bare bones sets, the most basic sets that I could find. So I found a set of Posca pens. They are 8 pens with a medium tip, because Posca pens do come in different nib sizes. So for the medium nib, you're looking at on Blick's website, which, if you don't know, Blick usually carries products for way cheaper than they actually retail. So definitely, if you can buy from Blick, I would highly suggest Blick. So for a basic 8-pack medium nib on Blick's website, it was $18.82 American, which they retail for $29.99. So you're getting like $12 off if you order those through Blick. If you are paying the $18, they are $2.35 per marker. If you're paying the full $30 for this particular set, they are $3.74 per marker. So I highly suggest getting your Posca markers through Blick. I don't know if Posca has a dedicated website. I have never seen one. I've only ever ordered Posca pens either through Amazon or Blick. So those are the only two that I can really tell you that I know for sure they sell them. if you're looking online. If you're gonna get the basic set of the 16 medium nibs of the Posca pens, again on Blick's website, they are $45.17, which they retail for $59.99. So you're saving about $15 if you order this pack on Blick's website. So if you pay the $45, it comes out to $2.82 per marker, and if you're paying the full $60 somewhere else, you're paying $3.74 per marker. So, like I said, if you want to save some money, order from Blick. Not sponsored. I just like them. So a couple of pros and cons about both of these particular sets of markers. Posca is great because you can order individual colors. So you can absolutely buy a pack of them if that's what you really want. And they come in a variety of different packs. You can get pastels, you can get basic, primary color sets. They have different options. Whereas Arteza has 2 options, and they mainly come with the same colors, which is fine, if you're just using it for, like, if you just need the basics, that's good. But if you need specific individual colors, that's where Posca pens have Arteza beat out just a little bit, because you can order individual colors. Especially on Blick's website, they have a huge list of Posca markers that you can choose from, different nib sizes, a ton of different colors to choose from. But that's where it can also get more expensive, is if you're buying single markers, they're going to cost more depending on the color. I'm not going to give a definite price for the single markers because, like I said, they change depending on what color it is, how in demand that color is, how big the nib is, how big the marker itself is. So there's a lot of different factors that go into pricing the single Posca pens. And then the whole pack of Arteza pens is just, you're paying a flat fee for markers, which I know a lot of people kind of are upset about when, you get a pack of markers and you can't buy the individual markers if you run out of a certain color, which does kind of suck, but it is what it is, I guess. I guess in that case, if you're one of those people that uses specific colors so often, you would definitely be better off going with Posca markers. But like I said, I think that both of these markers really perform well. I mentioned this in the last video, but the Arteza markers are just a little bit more watery. So some of them aren't as opaque as others as far as the colors go. Whereas Posca markers are usually overall very opaque in like every color. Somebody did mention in my last video that another option that was very highly recommended were the Molotov pens. I've heard of these pens before. I have only ever seen them being very expensive, so I have never actually spent any money on these, but I know that they are highly recommended. So if you are looking for something maybe just a little more high-end, a little, you're looking to spend some money on some super quality markers, I think that, like I said, I haven't personally used them. I do know people who have, and they highly recommend them. So if you're looking for something more like that, then I would definitely suggest the Molotov markers. And that's kind of all I have. Like I said, I know I'm kind of repeating myself a lot, but both of these markers really actually perform well. I don't really have any major complaints about either of them. I really hope that this 3-part series helped you in deciding which marker set is right for you, if any. I know I can come off as sounding a little bit biased, but I don't mean to. I'm generally trying to stay unbiased when I'm comparing these. I'm really just doing this to help you guys figure out which pack is going to be right for you and what art supplies are worth your money, so that you don't have to spend unnecessary money. I'm the one spending unnecessary money, so it works out. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them. I'm so sorry that I haven't posted frequently and I only post like once a month, but I honestly don't know what to say because I am garbage at this, but it's okay. We're okay. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps me out a lot. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified the one time a month that I upload. As of right now, I'm trying to work on doing it more often, but a lot of things just kind of come up that need to be taken care of first, and YouTube kind of gets put on the back burner sometimes, but that's okay. We're gonna get there. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Posting pictures on the gram so other people know that we're more than friends. And ever since you came around, I've never been sober, always in my head. Met you at a time when I was so low. Went from just talking to taking you home. I don't wanna go back to who I used to be. So if you ever leave me, promise you won't let me down. But sometimes you can't handle your emotions, and I guess that's okay. Met you at a time when I was so low. Went from just talking to taking you home. I don't wanna go back to who I used to be. So if you ever leave me, promise you won't let me drown. Promise you won't let me drown. Promise you won't let me drown. Yeah. Oh, let me drown. Oh, no, 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 no. Met you at a time when I was so low. Went from just talking to taking you home. I don't wanna go back to who I used to be. So if you ever leave me, promise you won't let me drown. Won't let me drown. No, no, no. Promise you won't let me drown. Won't let me drown. Promise you won't let me drown.
Bathing in the light that you share, you're like the sun. Who am I to think how it'd be if you were mine? I've been walking with my shades on for so long, I can't seem to get them back on. 'Cause ooh, how I fell in love, couldn't see it coming, blasting my stereo. I can feel it coming, you on my radio. All I'm hearing is a song. Drowning in your words from the stories that you carry. I would never judge, don't you ever say you're sorry. I don't